Hello, everybody. Welcome to Virtual Studio Party, the first for the fall of 2021, and it's Monday, October 4th. And I'm here with my fabulous co-host,
Cal Honey. Woohoo!
Who is off camera as usual.
Off camera, but very much on point.
Right. He said it first.
If you believe it.
He said it first. So he'll be monitoring the chat.
As soon as I get to your stream, I'm a little behind, but
Yep.
I'll be there in a second.
I see that Rebecca's here. Hi, Rebecca.
Hello, Rebecca. Yay.
So glad you could make it. And for newcomers or people who watch this later, Virtual Studio Party is the studio party that comes to you via YouTube live stream. And we've been running this since, I think it was March 20th that I had the first virtual studio party. Originally, Cal was not co-hosting. We soon realized that was a good idea, and I do the same for his virtual collage jam. So we alternate on Mondays. One thing I'll mention again later, but I'll mention now, is that Canadian Thanksgiving affects our schedule. So we're skipping Thanksgiving Monday, and we'll just keep rolling after that. So anyway, on our websites, which I can type in here, you can VSP is on,
which is Virtual Studio Party, right?
Yeah, VSP info is on my website. I'll type that in.
And I have all of your dates on mine, and you have all of yours.
Yeah, and Virtual Collage Jam, just so that it's here, is Cal's website. And I'm typing it in just because Cal's not able to type in URLs.
You're the only one who can put in websites.
Only the host can do it. Yeah. So there we go.
So we have a break next week on the 11th, and we're back on the 18th with Virtual Collage Jam.
Yeah. So that's good. And
so Val has joined us.
Excellent.
Ruth Austin.
Hi, Ruth.
Welcome back and welcome aboard,
guys.
It's
lovely to see you guys. And it's really nice to be back. Cal and I have both been looking forward to being back. Can you guys tell me, on my monitor, it looks like my lights are way too bright. Is it looking
spot on your head, I would say,
better to you? To me, it looks like I'm really blasted out here, but we got these new lights in the summer, in September. I can't even remember, but they're really good.
Yeah, which is amazing.
They're so good that they're actually in some situations too bright. So anyway, there are worse problems, right? So how is if you can share in the chat how you're doing, and if you brought anything, what you've brought with you. I have decided, those of you who are subscribers to my newsletter know that I have a hand injury that happened on top of my repetitive strain injuries that I've been grappling with for a few months. And so I decided that I couldn't, it was too complicated figuring out what mixed media to do into my altered book project that I plan to work on a lot this fall. So I decided to simplify. So it all involves my hands, right? But I'm going to exploit the awkwardness that is drawing or writing with my hand, and maybe even use my wrong hand. I don't know. We'll see. And I'm going to use a woodburning tool to do some drawing. This is a project that relates to one of my new series for my upcoming show in the spring. So I have to get going. I have to get working on it, and I've just done some tests on pieces of wood. I actually don't have the test piece of wood, but on pieces of wood like this. a little Baltic birch plywood, and very nice stuff. And I'm going to be drawing once I warm up, because warm up, kids, it's always a good idea. I'm going to pull out one of my wood panels and unwrap it, and I have some reference material I'm going to work from and draw on that. And we'll do the overhead camera thing that we started doing last spring, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This spring, probably. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this past spring.
Yeah.
What's up in the chat?
What's up in the chat? Well, everyone, thank you very much for your help with the lighting. I've backed it off a little bit. It definitely seems still pretty bright, but it's
okay, right?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, good.
They are strong.
So, well,
yeah, which
pretty
is great.
Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. You can dial them down. So thank you, everyone. And other than people checking in and saying hi, let us know what you're going to be working on today, what or playing with today.
Yep.
Yeah. Kim's obviously got a burning desire, so
I'll get this unwrapped. Studio organization and stuff is always an interesting topic. So tools like this that come with little nibs and accessories,
bits you don't want to lose,
little bits. It's like, and I need a ceramic tile to put the tool on for safety, right? It's like, how do you do all that? So the first thing I did is I got one of these little jars from the craft section of a dollar store. It came in a set of 4 or something, and it's perfect for the little nibs, which is fantastic. And at least it gets them grouped together in something. And then I use an elastic to keep it attached to this when I store it. I mean, I need an elastic for the cord anyway. So, so I do that, and then I can put all of that except for the ceramic tile into this. This has become a familiar sight since COVID happened, right? So they're good containers. Obviously I don't exploit this part of it, but the whole lid can come off and I can just pour things out. So it's small footprint, tall. It accommodates the height of the wood burning tool. So
just don't put it away hot.
Exactly. You must let it cool fully before you put it in this. But yeah.
A few people have chimed in with what they're working on. Karen Fedu has just joined us, and she says,
I'm
finally here. I'm working on lunch.
Whatever.
Excellent.
Whatever. You don't have to actually be working on a project at all. You can just come and hang out or be doing whatever you're doing. And we're so glad to see you here, Karen. That's great.
And Val very uncharacteristically says she's working on a very large gestural painting. Actually, no, she says that she's working on the Paris Collage Collective. Prompt.
I live with this, Val.
Yeah, sorry. Cheryl Langille has arrived.
Hello, Cheryl.
She says, hi, Kim. This is my first time watching your sessions. I've watched Cal's many times over COVID period, but haven't for almost a year, I think. Right now, I'm just watching, hoping to be inspired.
Welcome. So nice to have you here. So I just wanted to point out, so I mentioned I use a ceramic tile to put the hot tool on, or at least have it underneath where I put the hot tool. But another option that I have on my left is this enameled steel butcher tray, which I use as pallets mostly, but it's non-flammable. So it's good to have lots of non-flammable things around when burning. So, okay, let's get this thing unwrapped. What I'm going to be, after I warm up, I'm going to do some mark making. I'm going and make sure that it feels okay on my hand, which I think it will, as long as I use my hand appropriately. see how that reaches. That's the other question, of course. Okay, well, I think I can just about manage on that. Be better if I were left-handed for this. Given where my power cable is. Okay, so my plan today. Oh, Cal, can you do me a favor? There's one more print in the big printer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll catch you up on
And
the
then
chat.
Cal will catch me up on the chat that I'm delighted to see is looking busy. So I'm going to be picking one of these anatomical hearts, antique anatomical hearts, which is a signature image, signature theme for me, as many of you know, and working it in burnt lines. So I'm going to use this as a reference. It's obviously going to translate quite differently, both through my awkward hand and through the tool, which, drawing for me is a primary art form, not just a preparatory one. And one of the most fun things about drawing is finding unusual tools and unusual ways to kind of interfere with your default way of drawing. And so I've got two going, which should lead to something interesting. Thank you, Cal. So what's going on in the chat there?
So Lillian says she's just hanging out slowly post-surgery. So we send you our best wishes for a quick recovery. And yeah, just hang out with us. No pressure.
Yeah. Consider it Kim and Cal's Art FM.
Exactly.
All right. I guess it would help if I turned this on. There we go. Yeah, but I've been there with some various surgeries, and sometimes you just want to close your eyes and let things wash over you, and so I can totally imagine that. Art FM, yeah, that's right.
And
welcome to Art FM with your host Kimberly Coe and co-host Cal Honey.
Coming to you live from downtown Brampton. Or as near as makes no difference.
Yeah.
Lori says medication bottles can also be useful to small store parts.
Yes.
To store small parts.
Yeah.
A spoonerism. Perfect. Even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're great. They seal really well.
Yeah.
And it means that they don't come open easily and spill the contents, and you can actually see into them, which is really useful.
And I save good sizes and shapes of them because some of them are just like sometimes what you need is something long and skinny, and I've got a few pill bottles that are long and skinny, not mine, but I get them from other people, and some big ones, like quite wide and quite tall. Just trying to think.
Yeah, I don't know what. Sometimes they're like 3 little tiny pills in the bottom of it. It's like that's the only one.
Yeah.
The only ones they had, or something. But yeah.
But the other thing with pill bottles is, I think that people who have trouble with their hands can ask for easy to open lids, and so I have some with easy to open lids, which is really nice in this age of oh my God, am I ever going to get this cap off, right? Yeah. So.
Sometimes
just letting this warm up. Right? Yeah, definitely.
Rebecca says what she's working on. My cat Frida
yes
has decided I'm working on petting her. I tried to work on a few things, including studio organization, if Frida lets me.
Yeah, right. Right.
And Lori says, radio voice of you. Cherie has joined us. Hello, Cherie.
Hey!
I was trying to get on via Facebook and discovered Facebook/Instagram and WhatsApp are all down. Oh, that's interesting. I was trying to reach Facebook just before we came live and nothing doing. So that makes sense.
That explains the problems I was having with Instagram. Thank you for clearing up that mystery. I thought it was my phone, or I restarted my phone. We restarted our modem. you know,
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah,
that's
at least
one
it's
of the
reassuring.
advantages of the fact that Facebook owns all of them now, so that they can all go down
Yeah,
at once.
yeah. It was a tragic thing when they bought Instagram.
She says she's working on a complementary color Paris collage collective submission.
Excellent.
And Lori Graham says vitamin bottles. Oh yeah, those are good too.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're larger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, we've got a couple of enormous ones, don't we? Well, and Cal uses a protein powder or something, and we use those for our dead ink cartridges.
Yeah,
because
they're large.
You know, we print a lot, but I'm also a digital printmaker, right? So so there's a lot of that, and dead batteries as well. So just letting the tool warm up.
Lillian says they have machines that dispense and are huge bottles. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I asked for airplane friendly bottles if we ever go anywhere anytime soon.
Well, that's a good idea.
The smaller sizes, presumably, yeah.
Yeah. You don't need 5,000 vitamin pills, right? For your trip. Even if it's like a 4-week trip. Oh dear. Okay.
Are things starting to heat up in your studio, Kim?
I can feel some heat.
All right.
You know, it's one of those things you can't touch it to find out if it's.
Oh yeah, that's very ready. I'll just go put a Band-Aid on this.
Yeah. So, should we switch to the overhead camera now? That's probably a good idea, right?
All right, guys, avert your eyes a little bit if you're easily seasick.
So Lillian especially, maybe.
Yes, exactly.
Don't look during the seasick.
And my apologies. And we might need to adjust the angle of the head of the.
Yeah.
Actually.
Hang on. Let's get it there. There. That's better. Sorry for that reflection. You know what I'll do? I'll unwrap this this wood panel now so it's not reflecting. Isn't this a nice quality wood panel? Look at how wide. It's a 9x12 and the supports are that wide. That's some good quality there. Good for stability long term. And I'll try not to burn myself. Okay. That's good. Oh yeah. Sorry, I had that in the wrong place. Right. So this is a you know, just for anybody who might be interested in this wood burning tool, this is a kind of all-purpose or versatile chisel tip. So it's got an edge, it's got a flat, it's got a point, so it makes it quite versatile.
Lillian says she travels with carry-on only, such freedom.
Yes.
And I'm with her. And but isn't it funny? It's wonderful that we're actually speaking of travel again. That's I mean, it's still
dreaming of travel.
Still theoretical for us at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's nice to be able to contemplate the fact that we might be back to that.
It was an opportunity I was considering applying for, residency that would have taken place in November, December. But I decided I needed more time if I was going to apply. So just getting myself warmed up on how the tool behaves on the wood.
That's kind of like a slanted chisel marker.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's quite a
Ooh,
broad
that's pretty
line,
great.
eh?
Yeah.
And speed is really important on this. If you want good coverage, you have to go slowly, because if you go quickly, this is what happens.
It's kind of like a
Basically nothing.
marker that is starting to run out. You have to slow down let it catch up with the absorption. In this case,
it's also tricky getting it smooth because the grain of the wood sort of grabs it intermittently.
Val is wondering what brand the wood burning tool is.
Well, that's a good question. It's Plaid. Plaid is a craft supply maker. And I've seen, for example, brushes manufactured by Plaid or sold under the Plaid brand at Walmart in their arts and crafts section. This was purchased through Lee Valley Tools.
Oh.
Yeah. You can use it as a soldering iron too. It comes with the different nibs, and it can do wood burning. It can do soldering iron work. And I thought, well, this sounds very versatile. So I bought it before I had dreamed up a project for it. But then it became perfect because the title for my spring show is Burnt Offerings. So, this is kind of key to the...
Cherie is asking, do you get that lovely pine wood burning smell? Yes, actually, it's quite lovely. Actually.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
We've got one of our windows a little bit open for the...
Yeah, just to
have a little fresh
for
air.
the smoke.
When Kim and I were instructing in the Halliburton Independent Studio program, or I forget what it was.
That's what they call it now.
Right. It was
Studio Process Advancement was
right.
the awkward name.
Yeah.
Approved by the ministry originally.
But it was basically a chance for a bunch of artists to be really intensive and develop new work for over a course of like 3 months, I think.
Well, and Val was part of that.
Yeah, Val was part of it. Yeah. And one of the artists, I forget which year, whether she was the first or second year, we did 2 years, was doing wood burning in the summer sun using a magnifying glass. And it was actually pretty amazing.
So what was her name? She went by one Cézanne. Cézanne,
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, not Cézanne.
Yeah.
I immediately went to the wrong thing. Cézanne. Yep. Yeah. Boy, we had some wonderful artists in the program over the years.
Burn. There is a Cézanne.
Well, and it's very slow when you do it the method she was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, this I move slowly, but it's way faster than the sun and a magnifier.
Yeah, so she was wearing her like welding goggles because she had to look at this this wood panel reflecting the summer sun.
Yeah.
Intently. So and the beam, the focus of the magnifying glass.
So I'm just working on a kind of variegated broad mark now that's also kind of meandering.
Lillian has a question. She says, how do you plan your burn? Every mark is unforgiving.
I don't plan it. I warm up. I make sure that I have a sense of how it responds, how it behaves. And before I actually go to my piece that I'm working on, right? And, I could have studio sessions and have had where all I do is warm up so that I'm developing my skills and experience with the tool. That's really key when you have new very different tools, even somewhat different tools, it's useful, but the more different they are, the more you need to invest some time and just really patiently and honestly just enjoy the process of discovering, trying things.
You know, sorry, go ahead.
So having done that, I will draw. I'm going to draw some reference lines with graphite on my wood panel related to my reference because I am doing something based on
An image.
on a reference image, and I'll have to pick which one I'm going to use. And then I will just have at it. I'll probably start with some big shapes, get some big shapes defined. Not all of them, but some of them, and then go in and develop more detail. So it just like any other drawing tool, it makes sense to work from big to small in terms of the information of the drawing, and it's a good lesson in letting go of thinking you can control everything, because you can't. There's physics at work, right? There's the nature of every individual piece of wood is going to create variations you can't account for. So, yeah.
Something I want to mention. First of all, I want to second what you're saying about warming up.
Yeah.
Because I think, an athlete would not launch into a performance without thoroughly warming up.
A musician
wouldn't.
Singer
Wouldn't.
Yeah.
But artists often do. It's like they grab their canvas and go at it cold and wonder why it's not flowing, and then they wish once they're into it for a few minutes, it starts to click, and they're like, oh, but I really messed it up when I went in there. So yeah, warming up is very important, and planning depends on the artist. And I'll just say that Kim is a minimal planner, and except sometimes
I have a vision.
Yeah.
That's that.
Whereas I plan more, and
point.
you have the ability, once warmed up, to improvise with a certain degree of confidence that I think the planners of us, myself included, need a little more underpinning to feel comfortable with.
Well, remember the 2018 in situ, and I did that big mural as performance over 3 nights.
While people were talking to you as they were
asking questions. I invited people to ask questions. I also explained what I was using or as I went, and then other times I was silent and people just watched. But that was improvised. All I took was a duotang full of reference antique anatomical hearts. You'll sense a theme here. And the tools I needed. And I just started prepping my surface, flipped through my book, the duotang, and selected things to work with, and just started.
Sort of loaded them into your head.
It's a starting point, right? Like I had all the ingredients.
Yeah.
And then I had to pick a starting point, and then I improvise.
And you also had like when you're doing a performance in public space, I think you have a heightened.
I have a different gear.
Yeah, you're in high gear.
Yeah.
You're in a performance sort of mode.
So I collapse afterwards, I'll tell you. But it's definitely. I hope that somehow answered your question, along with maybe 12 other questions.
Well, Lillian has another related question.
Oh, do you?
She says, will colored chalk work in terms of a mapping out? It might impede burning, but we don't know.
I don't know that it would be a problem, except that this is unsealed wood, and so the powder from the chalk will be more inclined to get into the grain and maybe cause a color.
Yeah.
So I'd be more inclined to use like something more erasable. Chalk's erasable on paper, but on open grain wood like this, it will tend to get into the into the fibers.
And Lillian says, when I paint intuitively, things go well. When I try to use some guidelines, rules of how to, then it doesn't go as well.
Yeah. You have to practice both, right? Because your intuition is only we talked about this last week at Cal's virtual collage jam. Intuition is really just the internalized experience and knowledge. And but you don't have to think consciously about it when you're doing it intuitively, except when you're problem solving, and then it's incredibly important to have that to draw on consciously. But meaning that, of course, you grow your intuition as you learn and as you do, because experience is also huge part of it.
In fact, they're both, as you say, they're both really valuable, because you need to learn new ideas, new principles, new thoughts. And when you're working with those, you're sort of consciously thinking about them and applying them. And so maybe those work.
They feel awkward. Maybe they don't work out as finished pieces, but they're incredibly important to do.
Exactly. And then you practice working intuitively, and some of that starts finding its way in.
Yeah.
And more finds its way in as you integrate it into your process.
The more professional you are in how you practice art, and so I mean, it has nothing to do with whether you're earning money from art. It has to do with the way you approach your studio time, which doesn't mean you're business-like, and it doesn't mean you're commercially minded, okay? Just to be clear about my language. If you want to know what I mean by pro, then read Stephen Pressfield's books about going pro, or Seth Godin's books. His latest one, The Practice, is a good example. But the idea of the more professional you are, the more you realize that always shooting for the outcome is not the thing. It's process. It's always process. And so process has to include all kinds of things that at the time feel awkward, feel like they're not going well in terms of outcome, but that is the sign that you're growing and learning and discovering. And so your job during that time is really about noticing things and trying different things, and questioning after, when you're in the reflective state instead of creation state, questioning your piece and yourself about, what could I do that varies from this, that would change the result in an interesting way.
I always find whenever I start doing something, especially new things, it's like planting a seed and suddenly a bunch of branches are springing out of it. Like, oh, and what about this? And you could do this. And if I just change this, it would look like that. And I find it so wonderful how it's like stone soup, really. You start with nothing, and then suddenly you have a whole bunch of rich veins, artistic veins to follow. So just before we get too far ahead, Val says spa was the best. It really got me thinking and working. And yeah, Val.
Oh, Val,
you were a different artist coming out of that.
The metamorphosis was fantastic. You needed that concentrated time, right? And being forced to reflect on it, and because of the context, because of the demands of being in that program, you had to write about stuff, you had to talk about stuff, you had to really reflect on it in a intellectually, as well as, you had to grow that intuition massively, right? It was fantastic. And you're there were all kinds of great things happening that cohort. I do remember you coming back with, I don't know, big bags, flattened bags that you printed onto, or you printed with, or something, and that was so interesting. Yeah.
lots of river garbage, and
That's
that's been a
right.
long,
That's been a
long, good, fertile vein for you.
yeah. It's really amazing when you go deep and you really apply yourself. You can start to find your things. It's not that you have to stay stuck in them, but you can really find your things. I have a bunch of things, but they are, heart things related to the heart are one of them. But I have a number of other ones, and I have so much fun when they end up combining somehow. So there's my little.
Wow, sampler.
So you see it's got some sinuous stuff, it's got some very meandery stuff, it's got some angular, it's got broad even, broad intermittent. I've tried to do some things that didn't work too well, but I learned from that. So yeah, so that was a good warm up. That board will be good for some more warming up in future. And maybe eventually I can make a wood burnt quilt out of all the tiles.
The scraps. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Lillian says graphite can be so messy. Yeah, especially if you're talking about the powder, for sure. And
don't go with a super soft pencil, because then the it creates more powder and darkness.
Yeah, especially for like an underdrawing or just something that.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be messy.
Yeah. Val says she still does her river garbage work. Exactly.
Fantastic.
Still cooking, right?
It's your thing, right? It's not your only thing, but it's definitely your thing. This is a really cool looking one. I think it might be a bit complex for me to start off with today. So maybe I'll start off with something a little less complex. This one here. So these are typically, I collect digitized versions of antique anatomical art. They're typically from the 17th or 18th century, though I have some other ones. They're mostly European, though I have some Asian. Very different tradition medically and so on and artistically in Asia. And so, yeah. So the results are different, but I really like the structures of the heart. So I'll move aside that little tile.
Val asks you if you've ever tried gel printing on wooden board.
Have I ever tried gel print? That's a good question. You know what? I don't think I have. But I have an idea for a course or workshop to do a gel printing thing specifically on surfaces, working with a wide variety of surfaces, and that would definitely be part of that. I like to teach things that interest me, and it occurred to me the other day or a few weeks ago that that's a topic that I'm always interested in, different substrates, and that I never have time to deal with very many of them in one of my normal quote unquote gel plate workshops. So having said all that, Val, did you ask because you were curious about it or because you have done it? Let me know. Okay, I need to go like that. I think I need to put this closer at hand.
So Jenny Horseman says, hi, Kim and Cal.
Hi, Jenny.
Just have a chance to join for a bit, but wanted to look in and use the excuse to leave my desk and continue with my glass mosaic that I'm working on.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so welcome aboard. And Lori Graham says, addressing projects in depth is similar to the concept of deep work. Cal Newport wrote a book about it.
Yes, exactly. And, art is one of those areas of human endeavor where there is no end to the depth you can go, or the breadth, really. So yes, I got the audiobook of that. I haven't finished it yet. So Lori, any favorite takeaway from his book? By the way, I recommend it to anyone who's interested in the whole idea of deep work, as opposed to the sort of fractured, shallow experience of work. And I'm going to use the word work broadly, you know, anything that you're applying yourself to. That is the shallow, fractured nature of being bombarded by media, being stuck on the phone, scrolling, stuck on social media for hours, whatever, which I'm as guilty of as anybody else. Working on it though.
Val says she hasn't done it. She's just curious.
Yeah.
And Lillian asked about the 2 titles of the books, and Lily and I have typed them into the chat, so you can check there.
Yeah.
And in fact, there are a couple by Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art.
Yeah, Stephen Pressfield's written a few on the topic. He's also an actual novelist and screenplay writer. He wrote A Field of Dreams. You may remember that film. Or was it The Field of Dreams, or was it the golfing one? Maybe he wrote both. Anyway, and Seth Godin's written, I don't know, like 150 books. But this latest one, The Practice, is very pertinent to what we're talking about.
And Lori says, re-depth. I enjoyed the point that we can't do extraordinary things until we reach the edge of what others have done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Nice. I like that.
I think it's T.S. Eliot that says, how can you possibly know how far you can go unless you go too far, or something to that effect.
I say that a lot in my classes, actually. Yeah. Because it's my lived reality, but it's also it's my observation that that's how you find out where the edges are, right? Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for providing a quotable source.
And Lori says, Cal Newport has another book, So Good They Can't Ignore You.
Oh,
and I love that title because the
so
idea in it, and I think that's really, I've been thinking about how do I get my work noticed more, and I just thought I need to make more work.
Yeah,
the work needs to
there's
be better,
that. And Seth Godin would agree with you on that.
Getting and then just like putting it out there, because the more you do, the better it gets. The more people see it, and then it gets to the point where you start getting noticed by the people that you want to be noticed by.
Yeah.
That your work is intended for.
Yeah, and you have to provide them with a means of discovering your art, and that's where your website and your social media can come in very handy. But and getting interviewed like Cal was just so recently on Art Conversations podcast with Lisa Irvine.
Lori says, in that book, he talks about the apprenticeship of depth rather than becoming a generalist.
That's interesting. So I am a generalist, but I am a crazy obsessive generalist. So I'm a weird hybrid, which will come as no surprise to Cal, or anyone who knows me well, that I'm a hybrid.
Kim, a weird hybrid.
Yeah. That's why I'm a multidisciplinary artist, because I pursue ideas in depth by working with them in multiple media and formats. So, was I a crazy hobbyist wood burner before this idea came up? I was not. I was a theoretical wood burner. So,
burning theoretical wood.
But I really needed to do this idea, and so here I am. So there are people who are virtuoso wood burners, And so they're in depth with the tool and the technique. And I'm just in depth with my ideas that employ a variety of tools and techniques.
I think
that's the first time I've ever expressed it in that way. So thank you, everybody, for bearing with me as I think aloud here. I'm always having to write stuff for applications and so on. And really, I should just run it all by you here at the virtual studio party.
Lori says, or to say that you have a few areas of depth.
Well, my areas of depth are in studio practice, actual, what is it to be an artist in a studio, experimenting, exploring, discovering, and inventing. So when you're an inventor, a lot of inventors invent a lot of things, very different things. So they have to go in depth enough to be able to invent, but they can be broad as well. So going deep can mean some different things. Yeah. So conceptually, I go deep. Expressively, I go super, super deep. There you go, Lillian. Getting the... I'm having to move my body in awkward ways to get that. Look, I just have to say, I'm very pleased with the curves in that.
They're great.
This is not a naturally curving tool, right?
Yeah. It prefers straights, right?
It likes to go straight. Yeah.
Lori says, or that your depth is the actual application of ideas using many media.
Yeah. And the plumbing of the sources, the consideration of what form best expresses the idea, and in form that will mean what medium am I going to have to learn how to use in order to do it. But it will get to something really important and meaningful about that idea that I'm grappling with in other ways as well. So yeah, I like the way you put that. All right. I always like to do, I really should learn the names of these things, but that is my big weakness all my life. I'd love music and not know what band performed it.
So you're thinking now you don't know the name of
this
parts of the heart?
This vein or whatever it is. Whether it's a vein or an artery, I can't tell you for sure. It's hugely important, and it's always an early
line when you're working.
Yeah, because it's key.
Lori says synthesis, integration.
I am a synthesizer. Yeah. I'm a big vision person, and I'm programmable. Oh, like it's programmable.
Yeah.
A music analogy.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
No, but it's true. Like, you have a skill set, and you're always adding new things to it.
I am. That intuition keeps growing.
It's like you're like a computer or something that has.
I'm like artificial intelligence.
You are, except
I'm not artificial.
Realer than real.
That's funny.
Real intelligence.
We all are. I'm a massive experimenter too, right? Like anyone who's taken one of my painting courses, I think in particular, or drawing courses, come to that. Be aware of that, because I'm testing things, and boy, there's nothing I like better than a nice new tool, eh, Cal?
You are
I love tools. Like
ever since,
like this.
Yeah, like any kind of tool, right?
Yeah, anything I can perceive of as a tool. So not everybody would, maybe, but
no, exactly.
But definitely.
Fraser has joined us.
Fraser,
hey, Fraser.
Wow.
He says, hey, Kim and Cal, I'm finally able to join you on the studio party. Great steady hand, Kim, even with your recent argument with the plywood.
Yeah, thank you. I know he read my newsletter. Yeah, and here I am working on plywood. Isn't that ironic? Well, maybe it's my revenge.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm burning
Here,
it.
take this.
Yeah, that's right.
Burning it back.
Too
That's
funny.
funny. And thank you, Sherry. That's very sweet of you to say. She said that was a great interview. As I said before, I felt like I was at the table with Cal and Lisa.
Oh, that's so great.
You're sweet.
There's an interview coming out of the two of us together.
Yeah, relatively soon.
Yeah. If it goes according to schedule, and things can happen, and if post-production is difficult or whatever, then I think October 20th might be the release date for our joint one. And yeah, we just listened to it the other day. In fact, it's kind of fun. Maybe because we've been doing these live streams, I remember thinking how self-generating we were in terms of conversation. But yeah, I think Lisa asked us a number of things about our experience as a creative couple, and
we talked a little bit about our year off and how that changed our
travels in the camper van,
changed our perspectives, and we talked a little bit about collaborating originally as designers. I'm just trying to think what else we talked about. I just listened to it a few days ago. I should remember it.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to listen to it again because clearly we don't remember.
Yep. Every day dawns anew.
Oh, dear. It's sad, isn't it? Oh, boy.
Cherie says she'll look for that.
Oh, great. I'm really enjoying that podcast series a lot.
Yeah, it's been fun to do them, but she's interviewed already. Like, she's only got 7 or 8 out. And the other ones are fascinating. I love
Reinhard Reitzenstein. He's an awesome artist and
lots of interesting thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
About creativity and a life in the arts. And
he's kind of like me too.
Yeah.
He talks about he's in, I think, would he be 70 yet? Maybe not quite yet, but maybe
close though.
Close.
I think, yeah.
And he talked about, how some gallerists lost patience with the fact that he, if you do something for a long time, you need to reinvent yourself.
And they'd find it difficult to track his career, and it's frustrating because he'd be doing this kind of thing this time, and then he'd suddenly be doing something else. And he says, "It's my career. I can do whatever I want." I'm sorry.
And you know what? One of the problems is that, and this is a problem I think less experienced artists experience too. The expectation gets set up that your art development, your development as an artist should resemble a coffee table book, which is a completely artificial construct. A coffee table book has been skillfully and wonderfully curated by someone, picking through the huge array of work some artist has done. And so what it leaves out and how it sequences things compared to how they actually happened, and what things, you don't even know what sort of other things overlapped the things that you're seeing in this book. And but it I know it creates a lot of suffering in, and I felt it too at one time, till I let it go and said, well, that's clearly not real. Makes people upset when they think, oh, but now I'm going off on some other tangent, and that won't fit nicely in with the coffee table book that's been developing so far. And the thing is, you never know when your next big idea is gestating and where it's going to come from. Your whole art practice might do a massive pivot because you pursue this strange line of inquiry that doesn't go with the other things you've done.
The fact is, it's our art. We need to make the art we need to make, and try not to worry about.
That's sort of our job, really,
Yeah.
is to follow our curiosity.
Exactly. And you know what? I've noticed, because I'm far enough along in my career that I can look back over a big chunk of it and notice connections that I didn't notice in the time.
Yeah, you didn't
I thought I was making
realize.
a radical change. And in fact, oh, that makes sense because that relates to this and that relates to this.
Yeah.
And I've also noticed in looking at books of artists' work that the person making the book will cherry pick.
Oh,
Of
very
course,
much.
because if you have a big,
that's their job.
Exactly. And build cohesions that weren't necessarily there. They'll talk
That's
about
right.
this kind of work that they were doing in this period and ignore the fact that they were also doing these other things at that same time.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have, once in a while, very rarely, I know enough about an artist's work and come across a book that I actually really disagree with.
Yeah.
How they presented it and the
Absolutely.
story they tell about it. So that's the thing, right? Not only should we not, it's not our job as artists to become coffee table books, but it's also true that the people who make those are just knowledgeable, but they're just people.
They're doing the best they can
Yeah.
at what they're doing.
Exactly.
They have their own agenda, just
Just
like
we're
we do
doing
as
the
artists.
best we can, just like I'm doing the best I can with this wood burning tool, which isn't the easiest thing. You can see I'll get closer and see if you can see the scorching. There's a bit of scorching that's happening that makes it's kind of like when
bit
you're
of
working. It's a
Sorry.
It's a bit, if I may.
You may.
It's a bit like sorry. I've done that thing of the autofocus couldn't keep up. There we go. Let's move it away slowly. There we go. All right.
Nice and slow.
That's better. Sorry about that blur, guys. When you're working wet with watercolor, and so you get a blurry paint mark from it. That's what the scorching is like, but it's the opposite. It's from burning, but it spreads and softens.
Lillian says earlier, she said, when will you drive? I think she says, when will we drive to Winnipeg? And SSI.
And SSI?
Yeah, I don't know. Is that Saskatchewan? No, because it's I, not K. So you'll have to explain.
Let us know what you mean
SSI
by
means.
Yeah.
And then she said multipod with connections, and I'm wondering if that means that's your career. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Lori said, "Wow, love that close up."
Oh, good.
And Fraser had a couple of things. He said, with some gallerists, I have experienced them saying that they would only accept my work if it looked similar to another artist on the roster, or if I kept creating the same kind of work over and over again.
Oh my God.
Oh, so they want like another artist doing the same thing. That doesn't make any sense.
I would run,
Yeah,
run,
exactly.
Run, don't walk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he says, with the pandemic, it has made me take a step back and figure out what I really want to pursue with my work and life in general. Exactly. I think a lot of us have had that opportunity.
It's been a chance to reflect for
Absolutely.
a lot of us. Yeah, I think. Certainly for us. So I'm glad you had that opportunity.
I've noticed sort of a general slowdown, it seems, in sort of creative output during both personally and in others, with a few notable exceptions. Like some people just like, oh, now I've got time, when they really went to town. But I think lots of people
they're the minority, I think.
But I suspect as we come out of the pandemic, there's going to be like a flowering, like a bursting forth.
Yeah, I think so.
Because people will have been doing what you were doing, Fraser, and we've been doing some of that ourselves, just sort of like taking stock, reassessing, reevaluating, reconsidering. And so if that's the case, then I'm glad it's a silver lining.
It is a silver lining, because there's been so much I've been so concerned about the younger generation of which you are a part, with what we've been going through that stalled so many things. I mean, I think of the careers just trying to get liftoff that gets stalled. We know countless weddings that got postponed and postponed again and postponed again. Just getting life started when you're young, and you have to sort of put it on hold for this other thing. And I can remember being young and putting it on hold. It's just doesn't feel right.
Especially when you're raring to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the plus side, I know a lot of people, it wasn't a thing when I was 25 years old, but I know a lot of people have talked about the quarter life crisis. And so perhaps it's given people in around about that age or to their early 30s a chance to consider alternatives, because it's so easy to just end up with the momentum of daily life. I mean, not that happened to us at all.
Thank God.
Yeah,
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I mean, boy.
Yeah. No,
we got swept up in daily life in such a big way with no time to reflect. We were working so hard for so many years.
And then you sort of wake up and like, how did we get this old? And where are all those?
Why does my life look like this?
Yeah,
is a question that comes up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And well, you can see why when you reflect on it, but you never had a chance to reflect on it to maybe make it otherwise.
Lori may have already headed out, but just a couple minutes ago, she said, "Thank you so much for this time. I have to head out, but we'll be back another day."
Oh, lovely.
Lillian confirms, and Fraser also had speculated correctly that SSI is Salt Spring Island, because Lillian's mentioning that.
That's right. That's where Joy is. Yeah. Yes. So totally want to do that, Lillian.
Via Winnipeg.
Well, in Winnipeg, I have a real soft spot for Winnipeg. My very first apartment was in Winnipeg. I may have told you that, Lillian. But yeah, I do have a soft spot for that place.
One of your first summer jobs, right? There.
Well, I'd had summer jobs, but I had it was a very serious job. It was a research job, and I got an apartment, and yeah, it was quite something.
And Cherie says, how much of a novel is the editor? How much of the music is the producer? Early in careers, we may be influenced by the power brokers. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Boy, have you noticed we're 2 live streams in, and both times the discussions have gone straight.
We've been gone straight into the deep end. No wading in.
It's amazing.
Just deep dive right away.
What fun!
Lillian says, "Oh no, I didn't know about."
My very first apartment. I lived near Broadway and Donald Street. And I could walk. I was downtown, I think, and I could walk to whatever the Eaton Center there used to be called, when Eaton's existed. I'm dating myself, right, Fraser? Oh, well, no pretending on that score.
Lillian confirms. Deep. Broadway and Donald, exclamation mark.
Yeah. It was a great location. There used to be a Salisbury house across the street, which was fantastic for hot buttered bran muffins. This is when I could eat bran and I could eat butter. That they baked with a date inside. I never encountered that anywhere else. Only there. in my mind, one of the unique Winnipegisms. You know.
Fraser says, not dating yourself, just showing your knowledge of the past.
Oh, you're smooth, Fraser. Very nice. I feel better already. My feathers feel all smoothed.
Lillian says, interesting people roaming around these days. At Broadway and Donald, I presume?
Right.
Right.
Used to be a nice area. So, you know, I lived in a beautiful little low-rise Art Deco apartment building, and I had a small apartment, but it had all the gorgeous original wood trim, which is beautiful, and the floor plan was fantastic. It had a real foyer and a very vintage niche meant for your telephone. And
I had one of those in my first apartment.
which was also an old building.
Yeah.
It's probably similar vintage. So it had a kitchen that was basically as big as the other room. Basically, there were kitchen and another room and a bathroom and a foyer. But the pièce de la résistance of this apartment was the Murphy bed. Oh my God, that was amazing. So amazing. Yeah. Okay, where am I here? I've already deviated plenty from the reference and from even my sketch.
And things are evolving as they should be.
Exactly. That is situation normal. That's the way it should go. I like that. That sort of striated look that comes from engravings. So I'm definitely going to reference that, although I won't only do that, I don't think. Boy, I can really smell the wood. It's great, actually, because the biggest problem in my fingers are these two, obviously, especially my middle one. And really, I'm just leaning against the side of this one. And it's really about these two. And they seem to be doing okay. So
great.
That's good news.
That is good news.
Yeah.
Lillian says, Murphy bed, so good for decluttering and reducing footprint.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. Also had the nicest superintendent and his wife there. I had no furniture. I was in my late teens, and I'd gone from Toronto to Winnipeg, so all I could take were a couple of suitcases. So I had to buy everything there, but it's not like I was earning a ton of money. So they had been about to sell their dinette set, and they just loaned it to me for several months, which was such an act of kindness. Honestly, it was so, they didn't know me or anything, but it was quite a sort of one of those classic vinyl covered upholstered seating, steel pipes making up floor, green floral pattern on the vinyl, and fake wood table, but very durable finish. And Yeah, definitely not what I would have naturally leaned towards, but that's sort of part of the fun of an experience like that. Improvised living. There we go. So the fact that making sinuous lines is challenging gives my attempts at them, some are more successful, some are less successful. It just lends so much character to the lines, I think. I'm going to bring it up closer so you can see.
Oh, that's great.
And I'll see if there. Sort of see there. You can sort of see the indent
Yeah, you can
created
even see
with the
relief. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you can really see some scorching there, eh? And some of it's intentional and some of it's not intentional, but and then I had to draw a second line in because I made the whatever that is.
Aorta.
The aorta, that's right. Too narrow, so I drew it in wider as well. And that actually maybe relates, Lillian, a little bit to your early question, so that when drawing, I'm not afraid to show the work, show what the thinking, the errors, the adaptations, the inventions to bring it all together.
And I think that comes from a certain degree of experience with screwing things up, quote unquote, and then realizing, oh, actually, it's actually made it more interesting,
yeah.
Or I've been able to adjust it. It's headed me off in given me something more interesting than I thought. Because definitely when we were younger, there would be, and had less experience, it'd be like,
we would have been mortified.
Big mortified cuss fest or whatever.
Now we have to start all over.
Exactly. Whereas now it's like,
we were hell bent on perfection.
Let's see what we can turn that into. Cherie says she remembers going out on big garbage pickup days in the better neighborhoods to furnish a friend's apartment.
Oh, the treasures, right, Cherie? Oh my God. I remember seeing some absolute treasures on garbage day. And Cal and I lived in North Toronto at one time, and we weren't in one of the luxury homes.
In a basement apartment.
But we took walks regularly past many of them. And the things they would throw out. I needed a barn to collect them in because there's such good stuff. Ooh, I'm liking how this one is going right now. This here, because it's really reminding me of how tree branches grow, more so than a number of these other ones. So we'll see if I can maintain that feeling. But even if I can't, I will have had the pleasure of this stage of it. By the way, I don't know if you noticed me tightening the nib earlier with some pliers. But yeah, you always want to have a little pair of pliers handy to do that if it loosens, which it was doing a little bit. There. Oh, what a fragrance.
Sounds like Lillian also did the same thing because she says still have some of those finds from similar.
Yeah.
Acquisition junkets.
Yeah. Well, some of my most prized things aren't necessarily things I got for free, but they're sort of the next step, which is, I have an enormous oak bank, kind of a banker's desk. It doesn't have all the nooks, but it's with solid brass hardware and typewriter returns on both sides, and it's just like a massive thing. It will survive Armageddon. And I think I got it for $50.
Yeah.
Back in
Toronto Life when they were getting rid of
1990
old
something.
furniture, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where we used to work.
Yeah. And I wish I'd gotten one of the old chairs too. That would have been nice. Let's see if I can make this. Yes, I'm making it more sinuous. That's good.
Cherie says, up at the cottage, we replied to multiple queries from a guest. Where did you get that? With at the dump. Till finally the lady said, oh, I get it. The dump is the name of a store.
Oh my God. So we were talking about the studio process advancement program earlier. I think you missed that part, Fraser. And one of the attendees, an artist named Rosemary Vanderbregen, was the founding artist in residence for, what was the residency called?
I can't remember.
Re-something residency. I'm sure Val can remind us. And which was about going to the dump and finding what sort of things people were just throwing in the dump. And it was shocking. Brand new things still in their packages unopened.
Yeah.
Antiques, perfectly good, everything you can imagine.
Yeah.
And some really stunning stuff too. Like, it was insane.
Thank you, Val. Reclaim Artist Residency.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Reclaim. I knew it was a clever name, but I couldn't remember.
She also says in Haliburton they called the dump the shopping mall.
Yeah. Well, with good reason, right? I mean, Rosemary was kind enough. I was doing I actually still haven't had a chance to do it, a project involving chairs, and I needed some free chairs. And so when she went to the dump, she pulled out any that she thought might be useful to me, and then I visited her at the residency and took away the ones I thought would work.
Rebecca says, I have a dresser in my studio that my grandfather got from the garbage at the college dorms where he taught. He picked it up from my mom's childhood bedroom.
Wow. Yeah. I love it. Multi-generations scroungers or garbage pickers or whatever. Thoughtful reusers of things.
Yeah. Fraser said, yes, Rosemary and I would take trips to the dump in Haliburton. I found plenty of books in the bookshed there.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. And Cherie says, gifts the cottagers didn't appreciate. I'm using a Black & Decker electric kettle, never used. Yeah.
Huh?
Wow.
Amazing.
Give you a heads up that it's 3:21.
I feel like I'm making good progress on this. And the time just flies by when you're...
Annie. Hey, Annie.
Hi, Annie.
Annie says, hi, Kim and Cal. Just got back from school pickup. I'll just have to watch the replay. Hope I didn't miss the show and tell yet. Nope. Kim's busy doing some wood burning, as you can probably see.
Yeah. You can't smell it, though, which is a shame. I wish we could give you smell-o-vision.
Yeah. Wow. Fraser says, one of the books is a first edition of writings by Ad Reinhardt.
Oh, my God.
Wow. Yeah, some Halliburton student left it behind by accident in his apartment and rented apartment, and the owner just said, what is this?
Yeah.
Rebecca says, yeah, I have books and knickknacks from that dump. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are quite a few Halliburton people here on
there
this.
Really are. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Actually, Halliburton got in touch with me the other day about teaching next summer.
Yeah, we have to.
I have to reply to them. So here, I'll do a little. It's a small sample, but I can do a little informal poll. I just thought, I'm not going to teach those very popular and good courses on acrylics. There anymore because
on mediums.
Yeah, the very mediums intensive courses, because it's just mountains of work at great personal cost, the physical labor and so on, and logistics.
Like 2 car trips up.
Car
trips to get the materials up.
And we don't get paid mileage to teach there. So so I'm not going to teach those anymore up there.
But what are you going to teach, Kim?
Well, this is the thing. I think I would like to teach gel plate printing.
Right. That's...
And,
I want to take it.
A week-long intensive is so lovely because we can focus on a few things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last couple of days, everybody's kind of
cooking.
Yeah, they're just cooking with all the stimulation of the first 3 days. So I thought that would be really nice and really suitable for heading up north with. So
yeah, well, other than a lot of paper, it doesn't take a lot of paint, right? It's pretty remarkably efficient on paint.
You can have as many colors as you want, but you don't need tubs of it.
Yeah.
You just need... Yeah. So if you have any thoughts on that, like, does that sound like a good idea?
Is there something else you'd like Kim to teach?
Yeah. This is a great time to get your requests in, because I do need to respond to her in the next day or two.
Lillian says, your mediums course was fantastic.
Thank you, Lillian. I really worked hard to
make it that way.
Yeah. To make it the one I would like to have taken, and so thank you. I really appreciate that. I feel good about those courses, that they were good, but yeah, the logistics and the physical labor, I can't do it anymore. This is part of that reflection thing that Fraser was alluding to. Just realizing that some things have to change, and that's one of them.
It's really great that you did it, but
yeah, and I did it for quite a few years. Really.
After the first year, Cal was always saying, "You can't keep doing this course.
Yes,
it's killing you."
Yeah,
and she said, "Yeah, but it's so good.
So good." And oh my God, I had such wonderful students, and we had such a good time together. And seeing. I think one of the reasons I'm a teacher is because I'm addicted to that, seeing students have those light bulb moments, and helping facilitate that gives me such joy. So that happened in spades in this course, but I just can't do it anymore.
Rebecca says her finds from the dump were also from trips with Rosemary.
Yeah, Rosemary was the queen of the dump.
Yeah, she was.
Didn't she do that residency 2 years running?
I think so.
Yeah. And oh my God, the astounding things she found.
She
And then
found-
Val
and
did
made,
it.
and then made things into, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Val was an obvious choice given all your river reclaiming. Hey, Val. Does anyone else make art from any of your garbage pickings?
I know there are some artists who say there's just so much material in the world. It seems, why not use
what's already been made?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I applaud them for that.
Yeah. I mean, artists are the whole point is they're very individual, so they need the materials they need, but we all need to try different materials too in order to see, because we grow and change. I mean, look at me. You're watching me grow and change right here in front of you with this wood burning tool. This is the most drawing I've done with a wood burning tool ever thus far.
To date.
Many more to go. Good God willing, and the creek don't rise, eh?
That's right.
Oh, this is kind of a fun technique I'm trying out here. Making these little dashed lines over here. Oops, sorry.
Ah, lovely.
Yeah.
And some thin and some thicker. That's nice.
Yeah, well, that's...
No, but it's adding
Yeah,
to it, right?
yeah, exactly.
If
It's
unintentional,
variegating.
Yeah, exactly. But it's
depending on the amount of time.
It reminds me of Van Gogh's
his pen and ink.
Pen and ink, where the mark making is so exquisite, right?
That's to be compared to that in any way. It's not the accomplishment of that, but yes, it does have some of the spirit of it.
Lillian says, I found a mannequin I will turn into an art piece.
Oh, mannequins. Yeah. Oh my God. There's such power to a mannequin, isn't there? And what you can do with it. Oh, that's great.
Val says, using garbage keeps your supply cost way down. Exactly.
It sure does, Val. I envy you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm always like, I am drawn to things that cost money.
I always loved Rauschenberg's work, and his work was all, with the exception of probably some of the
all about New
drawing,
York City, basically, right?
And how much stuff he found on the street was amazing.
Yeah.
Jenny says, love it too. Often mosaic on furniture, I find.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. And Fraser, absolutely. El Anatsui with his massive blankets and bottle caps and other metal. Oh, aren't those exquisite?
I mean, he turns trash into literally treasure. Like they are so precious and exquisite and complex and skillfully done. Yeah, he rocked my world when he came to the ROM. His work came to the ROM, and I saw it.
It ties so many different things in. Like it's a political comment on the West because the West ships all this stuff that Africa doesn't have any facilities to recycle or deal with the trash. It references traditional African textiles. It's jaw-droppingly beautiful. It's the whole package. It's amazing.
And also the way it's made, right?
Yeah.
It's
made labor intensive.
Huge number of hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he makes so much work that it must actually make an appreciable difference wherever he's located.
Yeah, exactly.
In the trash.
Thanks for joining us, Lillian. We'll see you later.
Yes, and heal well.
Yes, exactly. Jenny says, my favorite was a beautiful old chest of drawers with a top layer of wood peeling off in the rain. I pulled it off and mosaicked the perfect space left. That's great. Yeah.
That sounds wonderful, Jenny.
Kim can relate, Jenny, to the next comment, which
What's
is
that?
the only problem is the number of possible mosaic bases that fill my basement waiting to be completed.
Oh,
Someday I
Jenny,
will retire and do it full time.
I hear you. I'm in the process of, well, I'm having to sort through other people's possessions that are filling up our house. But while I'm at it, I am making some small headway in my own, much of which relates to, well, it relates to my curiosity about too many things, as well as my so many materials speak to me. Again, a reason why I'm multidisciplinary, right?
Fraser says, oh, for sure. His installations also give the appearance of being light as a feather despite their scale. And you know they're not light as a feather, but they're...
Imagine how heavy they actually are.
Reflected light off the metallics is amazing.
Well, and the way they're mounted so that they drape in these beautiful ways, right?
Yeah.
Which makes them look lighter. Yeah.
And if you have to head on out, thank you for joining us. I think Kim is going to stay at it for another few minutes. Kim, is that correct?
Yes. Now, why don't I do a little? Is it time? Yeah, it's 3:33. Why don't I just do a little show and tell here? So here is the if Annie's still here. This is the reference I was working with. You can see I've completely distorted it, which is awesome. That's what hand drawing is all about. And this is how far I've gotten in it so far. And I'm starting to develop the surfaces of certain areas and starting to get at developing a sense of volume and form on some of them. And so
cross hatching or hatching kind of feelings.
Yeah. Whoops.
It's lovely.
Yeah, that's a nice close-up, right?
Yeah.
Move it slowly along there. Yeah. So the fact that I can't control this tool perfectly, or as I would wish, or as I would do with a chalk or a Conte or a pencil or a pen, that is part of the pleasure of it, because the struggle will be recorded on the wood for everyone to see, and that's great. I want that, because that's part of what drawing is the recording of an experience.
Yeah, that's good.
Of the experience of drawing. So make it an interesting experience, quite irrespective of subject matter, and you will enhance the drawing of whatever type you do.
You do an interesting dance, chances are the footprints that you leave behind will be interesting too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Val says, creative people don't have mess. They have ideas lying around everywhere.
Oh, you're my people.
And Rebecca says, yes, multidisciplinary artists cannot be minimalists.
It's impossible, because, if all I did was gel plate printing, for example, never mind if all I, even if all I did was printmaking, but if it was just gel plate printing, especially, then I could just, get a storage unit for a whole variety of substrates, have a collection of plates and a collection of paints and inks and toy boxes of tools.
And it sounds
seductively
simple.
Like a tiny fraction of what I've got in the house, because it is.
And that would only be great for gel plate printing days. What about all those other days?
What about all those other days? Exactly.
Annie's belatedly
Yeah.
passing along that Annie says it looks great.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it does. It looks amazing.
Since you missed the beginning, I wanted to make sure that you saw what was going on. Now, this is interesting. I'm using the point, and it's creating a line that's really a sequence of dots. So actually, I'll do one more, and then I'll hold it up, because I'm quite liking this. Hopefully I get the spacing right. And it's the grain of the wood that's causing the skips. Because it's like a series of bumps. Oops, that's getting blasted out. No, wrong way. Okay, Kim, you've got to figure out this backwards camera thing. All right, there we go. Isn't that an interesting chatter line?
That's great. Wow.
I like that.
Yeah.
And it's nice next to this dash line, which is next to continuous lines. So, so this is the thing, by the time I've done 10 of these, my mark making vocabulary with this tool is going to be much extended. So I'll just fill this little area in here. And then I guess we'll wrap this session up. It's so nice to be back.
Isn't it?
I hope you guys have enjoyed being back too. Yeah, I'll just get a few more. Any what are your Thanksgiving plans? Those of you who may have some Thanksgiving plans, some of you may. COVID's been an opportunity for some people to skip plans like that among people who wanted it, and forced some people to skip them, of course. But hopefully you have them if you want them. We don't like to plan these things. We have not planned our Thanksgiving, even though we really should have. We should have probably ordered something by now. But what we like to do is wait till it's a week away or less and then figure out what we're doing. Right, Cal?
That's us.
Pretty much.
Jenny says she loves the idea of curiosity about materials and their possibilities. One of the reasons she loves mosaic is because the materials she uses don't cost anything.
Right. Because are you using shattered ceramics and things like that, Jenny? Obviously, if you're using glass mosaic tiles, that would cost money, but you must not be.
Fraser says of the drawing, the dots almost appear like Morse code.
That's neat.
Rebecca says it's great to have you back. And then Cherie says, Thanksgiving with good friends. You just pick up where you left off.
That's nice.
Yeah. And Val says, finally getting family together for Thanksgiving. First time all my kids together. That's also great. Yeah.
That's going to be so great for you. Yeah. We don't have kids, so that's not a factor, but I do have an elderly mother and a dear family friend. And that is who I anticipate we will be spending Thanksgiving with. Correct. There. Put the tool down. I don't know. There we go. Hasn't that added a lot? Just to have an area defined by that different kind of mark making. It makes such a difference to a drawing to have that kind of variety. So this whole kind of slice here seems to be developing nicely.
Yeah, lots of different things going on there. It's really nice.
Thank you.
Directions, kinds of marks, etc.
Yeah.
Scales.
So, wow. Well, that's been fun.
Rebecca says she and Kirk are heading to her parents for Thanksgiving.
Oh,
dinner,
lovely.
So that's a lovely thing.
That will be lovely for you and lovely for your parents, I think.
Yeah.
Oh. Got it.
Nice catch.
Yeah.
Put it with the prongs pointing the same direction as the handle.
The
And that's,
prongs pointing the same.
yes,
this way?
exactly. That way it doesn't tip as much easily. There you
Okay.
go.
Thank you, dear. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here, everybody.
Yeah, it's been so much fun.
So
Yay, glad to be back.
we'll catch up again at Virtual Collage Jam is October the 18th, Monday at 2 o'clock. And if the podcast is on schedule, that'll just be 2 days before our joint podcast episode comes out. So we'll be sure we'll certainly know by then if it's working out that way, and we'll be sure to let you know. And we'll put in the chat where you can go to listen to it. But thanks for those who've listened to Cal's. And so good to see you here again. So I hope we'll see you again after the week after Thanksgiving. In the meantime, have a lovely couple of weeks and a lovely holiday.
Take care, guys. Thanks again. So good to be back.
Bye-bye.
Better pause there. We got a few comments coming in. Thanks, guys. So lovely to read the comments.
Oh. Take care, you too. Okay.